as we were discussing in our previous episode, being present in your relationships. It means emotional depth, vulnerability, and you being yourself openly. But in case you won't tune into that one, I want a little bit of a recap as we continue with masculine, feminine differences with clairs, no clairs, and actively here at IHP, your lovely 5D mystic. The difference is that 5D1 knows forgiveness, Christ consciousness. We actively, at least with my experiences, know of how the body is both feminine and masculine. So just getting that one cleared out right away. Some people do have twin flame and some twin flames, and others have soulmates. And there are those within the 3D, 4D community of mystics who want to set down very rigid ground rules. That's how the not securely attached human being is, because essentially, I'm going to say not securely attached since they are an adaptive child. So they don't know how to yet be completely securely attached all by themselves. And their 1 year old, therefore, has a crowd, and the 3 year old. So, with that being said, feminine is when you are embodying the pure consciousness, which is unconditional love. So is masculine when they are in their actual balanced energetic spectrum. Because I'm a feminine of my oversoul and I have masculines. Okay, so the masculine can embody his own feminine and vice versa. Okay, so I call the feminine and the self the right mode of our brain because it's the analogical. It's the one that allows us to look at body language and all of these things. And I support people with this spiritual self-help and mindfulness self-help. So whether you're secular or spiritual, okay, plus stories. And that's to integrate for my 5D mystics out there so you don't have to waste your time with the other ones of people out there. So, okay, our relationships are very important and they're part of your journey and it's beautiful versus what you hear out there because they call people devils and demons, energy vampires, dark auras. Basically, anyone who's shaming humanity for their flaws and imperfections has yet to heal their own trust breaks. That's why not secure. So 3D, 4D, they have Elsa journey mantles. And let me read. Attachment ruptures and trauma can leave lasting marks on your psyche. Oh, let me make sure you see. This is the book that I'm reading from. And so it distorts our sense of self through the beliefs that we do not matter, that we are flawed, broken, unworthy, or too much, while simultaneously not enough. This is what needs to be repaired, and in many ways, it is the only aspect of our healing that we are truly in control of, since the art of being, and this one's for Polysecure again. Polysecure requires partners to practice with, and the other levels require group or collective. Okay, this is not important because you're not all polyamory in the first place, but let me see what she says here. Our primary relationship with ourself can become severed, and the development of certain capacities and skills can become compromised. Yes, when you experience attachment insecurity, okay, and this is part of what we see out there. So whenever you are noticing a person who does not know how to unconditionally love yet, you know that you have a person who is still looking with shame, blame, fault, and revenge. They're part of a shame cycle. They're part of a shame continuum. And there are groups of those who are also mystics. Okay, so anyone who is not yet ready to forgive and actively unconditionally love to a feminine is going to be a masculine. I'll just break it down that way because they don't have full access to their embodied self yet. They don't know their whole sense of self. Their 1 year old is not whole yet. Their 2 year old isn't. Their 3 year old isn't. They still are talking about defectiveness and flaws in a way of that being a bad thing and wanting to shame people. So the ones who want to keep using shame, they are in a vibration that is quite low compared to the enlightenment vibration. I'm a self-empowered enlightenment soul age group human being. Okay, and that's what you get to put into practice if you want. You don't have to. So when we have tower moments, we don't have huge tower moments because our foundation is a 1 year old that has secure attachment. I have internal secure attachment. So internal attachment healing is needed for the heart of secure functioning to become possible and then take root in our relationships. Again, I'm using the Holy Secure book because she gives you a foundation to a secure attachment relationship. And it's really great to know of this because you can when you're applying it, and how many people don't know how to be vulnerable and themselves in relationships, which is why there's no emotional depth. And that's also why it won't be a relationship. And that's why masculines have tower moments until they choose to get on board with their feminine, whether they have clairs or not. That means to heal their childhood stuff if they have any, and then to be able to offer a shirt. That Maya Angelou quote, yes, you can't give me a shirt, I love you, if you don't know how to love yourself first. So the first love affair is with yourself, and it's not by basically having to give meaning to anyone, even to yourself. You wake up in the morning with secondary consciousness like any other human being. I I believe in God. I'm a person of faith. I'm a person that's a mystic. So some people of faith who to me are not of faith, they're like, that's an evil bitch witch because she's an Akashic record reader, a Reiki master, and a tarot card reader, and they all decided that that's all bad energy stuff. So people who use those words, the inherently good or evil, good or bad, yeah, they're all in the group that are fallen angels, in fact, because they have the broken heart and they're wanting to point and say that we're broken. Nobody's broken. That's the other part. And God actively said, hey, be humble, treat everybody with love. They just like using all of the medieval times to try and keep us into abstinence and, all that from like when Elvis, his legs got cut off. Just saying. Some people, they actively want to live the Stone Age or something like that. I don't. Okay, as I get funny and humorous. So internal attachment healing, again, is needed so that you can bring that into your relationships. And yes, that's because even in the most secure relationships, being together forever is not a given. Well, technically, one of us is going to unfortunately die sooner. Let's not talk about that. See, that's not fun talking. So lives might take different directions, yes. And then you can actively be involved and have unrealistic expectations for a person to be there every time you need them, which actively there are those who do have that. And that's why, being able to be your own safe haven, secure base. The solo polyamory group, we know all about it. And that's exactly why relationship anarchy and non-hierarchical are our choices, because we stand for love. And unconditional love can happen when you can love yourself first, and then you can freely love others and allow them to have fun in life, and you have fun in life. And that's why a feminine doesn't have tragedy with her twin flame or flames. And on that note, let me see. You are the source of your happiness, love, courage, emotional regulation, and purpose. And yes, that's exactly what you are going to be when you know how to regulate your own nervous system, which is where mindfulness and mindset supports people who are here and able to. So you do know you are not flawed in the sense of being flawed as if you're broken. We are flawed because we all will be imperfect to someone. So when I use unconditionally loving with flaws and imperfections, it's because when you live a life of true spirituality, you live a life that is beyond your solo self. So I know that a person can say, I don't like Maria. She's flawed. And I say integrity because I'm going to maintain my morals. I'm not going to lie to you in your face. So when I get told by people who I consistently made sure they would be aware I don't want to be your friend, and they actively insist, I say, no, we're not going to become friends. And then they say you're putting up a wall. No, I'm just telling you how it is. And at 44 years of age, I think I have a right to say I don't want to be friends. Don't you? Does anybody think that that's something a person cannot do, to choose who you want to be friends? I thought that was the one thing we did get. We don't choose our family. I love my family. I'm just saying. So adaptive children, rigid thinkers, perfectionists, anyone who's unforgiving, anyone. Again, we're not flawed in a sense of broken. We're flawed because somebody might not like us and we might not like them. They're not flawed to me. Simply if you're, see, I'm a person of my gut. My gut says yes, cool. My gut says nothing, nothing. My gut says no, it's no. And then I'll be able to know what to do next. And that's actively in romance as well, by the way. So yes, we know what we want. When you own your sense of self, you definitely know that you're worthy, not broken. Yeah, flawed and imperfect, but that's okay. Because, hey, Eric, I got a tail and a voice and a dad, and, I'm a human. So that's the Little Mermaid. Now, the other part that I wanted to read to you all is this. This one's really good, too. So being present with your partner and or partners is important. That's because when you are struggling with presence and availability, that can make, we are here to live deep connections. Okay, so presence, as we discussed, is when you are mindfully listening, mindfully engaging. And so you want to be able to devote that conscious attention to a person and to spend quality time together. And that means that you get to be physically near each other. That's really beautiful to have, of course, or physically communicating consistently. So consistent communication also takes place. And lastly, when you're present, you're able to be and to offer consciously your presence as a gift. So, with that being said, when you make yourself available to each other, you are there as the emotional depth of you, and they are there as the emotional depth of themselves. Okay, so that's a whole masculine, whole feminine. It's a whole person, a person who has the capacity to be there and to be straightforward. That means no surprises. No surprises in a way of obviously surprises are fun, but I'm saying no surprises in that. Okay, I'm gonna pause and reorganize my brain because there's plenty of surprises that you will get from the people who are not emotionally available. Not okay. That's for emotionally available people. We find out about what emotionally unavailable people do, and then they surprise you in many different ways. And eventually, though, because they're unavailable, they become not surprising at all. And so that's why tower moments. Let's see. For those of you who know the story, I'm just going to use masculine without clairs. Okay, you know how the movies tell you have the girl, pretty girl, have the money, have the job, have all? Okay, that's not actually what's important. That's not a meaningful, that's not being present. That's basically a ego left mode without a if they're broken inside and they didn't go to good therapy, okay? They're not available emotionally. Okay. Good. I hope you're following because I know I got a little tongue tied here, but no open heart, no human in the forefront, no body, no body actively. They're dysregulated. They don't know how to stay in a safe regulated nervous system. And instead, those who are present, we do. Okay, so when you have healthy self-worth, you're empowered, you know yourself, you're an inner child adult, that's when you're going to be a feminine with or without clairs. That means you are open-hearted and therefore you actively have the desire to build relationships with people who are of substance and meaning. Not the money, not the girl, not the guy, not the boy, not any of that, okay? You will know the difference because you're living emotional depth. And anyone who is a person who is mastering wholeness is going to know this. So there's not a good or bad. The emotionally unavailable, they surprise you in a way of you think that they mean it for real, that they love you, that they'll be there, and then they show you that that's not true. They're not. So once you meet enough of them, though, you figure it out, and thank goodness in 2024 we have information, so we get to all know that the emotionally unavailable people are not going to be sticking around. What they give you is the opportunity to know, one, you can talk about it with your friends. I have plenty of friends that we get to have fun laughing about, the misunderstanding. I really thought they meant it, but we all know it's not the end. There's 8 billion people out there, many fish in the sea, and so we get to completely have a very different relationship, the feminines, with our love life. And again, that doesn't mean that they're women. It just means that they're an inner child adult. They have their body and heart and their mind in alignment. It's called secure attachment. And so they know how to regulate their nervous system. And they therefore know how to be emotionally available. They want to be emotionally available. Okay, so when you're not and life is trying to teach you, so here's what happened to a friend of mine. Everything taken away. And then that happened in a different way to masculine with clairs, which is they freaking out because of that whole agony with their twin flame. I try to give them that support of what an independent, emotionally mature, feminine will is. You're not possessed by anyone. It's clairs. You know how to use them, don't you? No? Oh, I have more experience. Okay. That actively isn't what we're talking about. What we're talking about is a human being who has what is the need for a good therapist and or self-awareness, accountability, and then regulating the 1-year-old of them so that it can disengage from being upset. So you give yourself a hug. You disengage from ruminating. You actively use your brain and say, let me go get busy with stuff. And the emotions that are rising, let me process them. I witness them, I process, I don't suppress them. I also don't go choosing to find a person that I'm going to begin a life with that's a karmic partner so that I can get distracted because my twin flame doesn't want me. And because they don't want me, I want to, get distracted. So this is what masculines with clairs do. And they actively don't have a way of talking to themselves that would be that Jacob. So we get to talk to ourselves objectively when you're an actual feminine. It means, okay, here's what I like. Here's what I don't like. Here's what I'm thinking. And here's what I'm feeling. Yep. And here's where I don't have any options. And here's where I still don't have any options. What do I do? Oh, well, I have these options. Okay, then. Well, so thank you so much for coming by, emotions. They're not laundry. And this is mindful living, which is why we don't do, I don't want it. I want life now. No, we actively enjoy expanding the feminine. So every time I've gotten to expand, my tower moments, they're not tower moments. That's why there's no ego death, dark night of soul. There's emotions. It's called I get emotional. Does anybody not know what emotions are anymore? So emotional depth is fun for those of us who are vulnerable. The feminine is going to be vulnerable. Doesn't mean she's a woman. It means it's a human being who knows how to be their self openly. Every human being has emotions first. They just don't admit it because, well, I'm the stupid lady, remember? I have faith, and it's a feeling. It's not the words, which is why anyone can come and bring to me their magical baton. It won't work on me. I'll be staring at them. That pisses people off, especially the ones who are the 7 to 14 charming, as they'll notice that I'm unwavering. And I'll notice nothing except for, you're so much like a, are you turning into stone by any chance? I think you're becoming one of those statues. Did Medusa stare at you enough or something? Or did you catch a glimpse of Medusa maybe? That must be what's happening to you. And so, yeah, that's funny. And yeah, today is a new moon. So, you know what? I believe it's today. I'm going to go and do another episode. That way this one can stay short and you can listen to both and or more if you want and view. And that way I can also get started on our channeled guidance, which is a bit longer. So any person who has questions and you want to know more about masculine feminine comparison 3D 4D, let me know. But I use Maria's language, just so you know, and I don't use ancient textbooks, but of course I learn things from a lot of places. So please, and my lovely therapy information, I have all these beautiful courses. I don't think I need to spell it out all the time, but sometimes I think I need to spell a little bit of it out. I don't make up shit from my ass. But I do use words creatively, so don't use a dictionary, and I definitely don't use ancient textbooks. Not at all. And when people say, how dare you take off of the pedestal, that's why they won't come near me, because I'll be like, huh, sure. Yeah. Do you need me to leave? Because I really don't know what's going on. And I'm not a child. You're so disrespectful. No, I'm not actually saying anything. You just don't like that I don't, I don't know. What do you want me to believe in you? I can see you. What you're telling me is not you, though. That's information you read from someplace, and I can read it too. Does anybody notice what emotional, mental, and physical intelligence and an independent human being does? You can't manipulate me the way that people who are manipulable by those who speak on screens. But here's what a smart human being will know. They will know how someone like me is manipulable. And when you meet smart people, and I'm thinking of smart people right now, and you're honest, so this is what happens. And you're like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that is true. But that's the part. These types of relationships, these are the relationships of a lifetime. Because what you are partners. Partners who expand each other. And that's why the tower moments of these partnerships are amazing. When you get to share differences with masculine and feminine, with or without clairs, it's a beautiful, beautiful day. And it is a consistent, fun tickle of the mind, the heart, and the body, which is why the feminine always knows we will need our masculines. And masculines, when they're actual masculines, know they will always need their feminines. And that's because we're the heart and they're the mind. and they get along inside of each of us, but the mind gets to be analytical and point out things in fun ways that then the heart says, okay, fine, let me throw this one in here. And then they say, nope, we're going to take that one out. And so it's basically like playing Tetris, but a lot more fun because it's two people or more, depends. But it's fun because you actively complement. And I can thank my masculines for being able to know about this game. It's a beautiful game. Again, they make us smarter, and that's in a good way because they give us corners. I'm feminine. I'm blind. I'm blind when it comes to corners, and I accept that. I'm also blind when it comes to a lot of other things, and I accept that. We all have weaknesses. We all have strengths, and I accept that. You see? That's why we're all flawed and imperfect, but with integrity. I can say, I'm sorry. I made a fucking mistake. I am so sorry. And then I can laugh with people who know how to say they're sorry too. And the masculines know how to do that. And it's not by shaming. A true masculine and a true feminine, a whole human being, is going to be enlightenment material. Their heart is not laundry. Zen master, go do more mindfulness, please. Even though he was trying to make a whole conversation, but his words, even though people need that so that they can feel confident if they don't want to move into more, because not all people want to and or can, and that's because it's a journey to get out of trauma body. Okay, so hell is something real for some people. Self-loathing, gut wrench, it's not funny at all. It's sad, but yeah. So masculines and feminines, we complement each other when we are whole, and we enjoy each other a lot. I would say that there's no words to express when pure consciousness, which is uncontrolled love, takes form in two different bodies and in two different energetic, so the feminine and the masculine, and then they come together as differentiated selves. So that means independent thinkers. See, we're going to talk about that some in the new moon channel guidance. So tune back in later if you want. I'm going to have to think about how to word it. But in the meantime, tower moments for the feminine, no big deal. Masculines, well, they actively have their tower crumbles to shits because it's all about getting home to your true self. So please, again, remember the distortion that happens from people who do not have their feminine, their inner child in the forefront. I'm going to use our lovely Bezel van der Kolk. Trauma sits in your automatic reactions and your dispositions and how you interpret the world. So in order to really rewire those automatic perceptions, you need to have deep experiences that for your survival brain contradicts how you are now disposed to think. Also, Bezel van der Kolk, where are you? Hold on, here he is. When people are traumatized, certain movements have become unconsciously associated with danger or failure. So when you live in the world of sensory integration, you'll see that most traumatized people get very frozen in their bodies. And again, serious business, but here's Dharma. So that's what the 5D mystic in the Enlightenment Soul Age group and a whole masculine, a whole feminine, a mindfully living person can do. Dharma is not a teaching, philosophy, or belief system. It is based on clarity of vision about life here and hereafter. He doesn't know the psychoeducation, I do. Clarity, integration of the brain. You're left to chit-chatter, you're right. You can contain all emotions. You're not emotionally triggerable. You have forgiven home if you did have any of that trauma, trust break. Here, not here. Here doesn't matter. This, you can put it to the side. Here, don't lie. You don't have to lie to me. I'm not asking you to make a choice. I'm saying if your heart is open, you'll know. If it's closed, that's your process. You're still healing. It's not a competition. But it's once this can be quiet, this can be open, and you can be here knowing I'm flawed and perfect, so is everybody else. None of our human species chose to have trauma and shame. The shame thing came because that's actively a posture. And it's a posture. The evolutionary psychologist explained it to me. So when we would get kicked out of our herd, we'd end up all alone, lions, bears, and tigers. They will eat you. All the way back then. And remember, we didn't have light. And I'm saying that's why we don't make up stories. We make up different stories, but not the stories of needing to have Lucifer, devils, demons, and fallen angels actively dehumanizing human beings and dehumanizing our entire human story because you want to have an in and out group. And so, again, mindfulness, mindset, being yourself. Here we are for personal development. And societally speaking, all the topics that are being discussed have been discussed before. They will continue to be discussed as we continue to evolve, as we continue to live change, always, until the earth is here. Obviously, that always might be, it's now or never. Come hold me tight. Tonight I might be gone tomorrow, so in case I am, and this might be no, I have another episode coming up soon. But the point is, you got 24 hours. Make the best of it, and you can make the best of it when you're using your prefrontal cortex in the present. And that's a wrap, folks. So be back with you in a little bit. Like, share, and subscribe. It will really help the channel. And please do know one-to-one mentorship is available. The masterclass, please let me know if you're interested, because that's going to be a closed number. And a spiritual retreat is in the works, and that's a 1 or 2 years. I'm going to think about that. Actively, we have Ask Maria, paid membership content for audio alone. Once it's available on YouTube, that will be available. It's kind of like Dear Abby. You write, Dear Maria, this is what's going on. Can you give me your food for thought? Please use food for thought, entertainment, disclaimer, all of that stuff. Again, I mean, if I have to make it clear, I will. I'm one human being on the face of this planet who says you can be you. If you want support being you, I can help you. Because apparently, I want to do it, Maria. I want life now. So that's why. And the daily practices will be something, or weekly. I'm going to decide on that one. But we're going to have some weekly practices, monthly, once the membership rolls out. And that's going to be with the inner growth mindset that we have. The main modules are for free on the website. And the beginner's journey is on Udemy. I need to get the intermediate and advanced on. And then the master class, I'll decide where to put that once that's available, and how to formulate everything else, because it's in the works. Again, thank you for stopping by. Please do share with people who you do know love being a human, being alive, being a mystic. They love their twin flame and flames. We don't run, we don't chase. I think I might have another episode for you on tower moments, because I was planning on sharing some that take place for others, but this one's a wrap for now. So we'll be back in a little bit. Thanks again for stopping by.